Okay, I'm back. Um, let's study more. Okay, let's go. Undo. There we go. Why is it like that? It says excellent stream health, but Yeah. Wow. No. Okay. That's not okay.
This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/col11762/1.6. 1. An introduction to sociology. Figure 1.1. Sociologists study how society affects people and how people affect society. Photo courtesy of Diego Torres Silvestre, Flickr, Learning Objectives. 1.1. What is sociology? Explain concepts central to sociology, understand how different sociological perspectives have developed. 1.2. The history of sociology, explain why sociology emerged when it did, describe how sociology became a separate academic discipline. 1.3. Theoretical perspectives, explain what sociological theories are and how they are used to understand the similarities and differences between structural functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism. 1.4. Why study sociology? Explain why it is worthwhile to study sociology, identify ways sociology is applied in the real world. Chapter 1. An Introduction to Sociology. 5. Introduction to Sociology. We all belong to many groups. You're a member of your sociology class, and you're a member of your family. You may belong to a political party, sports team, or the crowd watching a sporting event. You're a citizen of your country, and you're a part of a generation. You may have a somewhat different role in each group and feel differently in each. Groups vary in their sizes and formalities, as well as in the levels of attachment between group members, among other things. Within a large group, smaller groups may exist, and each group may behave differently. At a rock concert, for example, some may enjoy singing along, others prefer to sit and observe, while still others may join in a mosh pit or try crowd surfing. Why do we feel and act differently in different types of social situations? Why might people of a single group exhibit different behaviors in the same situation? Why might people acting similarly not feel connected to others exhibiting the same behavior? These are some of the many questions sociologists ask as they study people and societies. 1.1. What is sociology? Figure 1.2. Sociologists learn about society as a whole while studying one-to-one and group interactions. Photo courtesy of Gareth Williams, Flickr. What are society and culture? Sociology is the study of groups and group interactions, societies, and social interactions, from small and personal groups to very large groups. A group of people who live in a defined geographic area, who interact with one another, and who share a common culture is what sociologists call a society. Sociologists study all aspects and levels of society. Sociologists working from the micro-level study small groups and individual interactions, while those using macro-level analysis look at trends among and between large groups and societies. For example, a micro-level study might look at the accepted rules of conversation in various groups, such as among teenagers or business professionals. In contrast, a macro-level analysis might research the ways that language use has changed over time or in social media outlets. The term culture refers to the group's shared practices, values, and beliefs. Culture encompasses a group's way of life, from routine, everyday interactions to the most important parts of group members' lives. It includes everything produced by a society, including all of the social rules. Sociologists often study culture using the sociological imagination, which pioneer sociologist C. Wright Mills described as an awareness of the relationship between a person's behavior and experience and the wider culture that shaped the person's choices and perceptions. It's a way of seeing our own and other people's behavior in relationship to history and social structure. 1959. One illustration of this is a person's decision to marry. In the United States, this choice is heavily influenced by individual feelings. However, the social acceptability of marriage relative to the person's circumstances also plays a part. Remember. 6. Chapter 1. An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/content/col11762/1.6. Though that culture is a product of the people in a society, sociologists take care not to treat the concept of culture as though it were alive in its own right. Reification is an error of treating an abstract concept as though it has a real, material existence. Psalm 2013. Studying patterns, how sociologists view society. All sociologists are interested in the experiences of individuals and how those experiences are shaped by interactions with social groups and society as a whole. To a sociologist, the personal decisions an individual makes do not exist in a vacuum. Cultural patterns and social forces put pressure on people to select one choice over another. Sociologists try to identify these general patterns by examining the behavior of large groups of people living in the same society and experiencing the same societal pressures. Changes in the US family structure offer an example of patterns that sociologists are interested in studying. A typical family now is vastly different than in past decades when most US families consisted of married parents living in a home with their unmarried children. The percent of unmarried couples, same-sex couples, single-parent and single-adult households is increasing, as well as is the number of expanded households, in which extended family members such as grandparents, cousins, or adult children live together in the family home. US Census Bureau 2013. While mothers still make up the majority of single parents, millions of fathers are also raising their children alone, and more than 1 million of these single fathers have never been married. Williams Institute 2010, cited in Ludden 2012. Increasingly, single men and women and cohabitating opposite-sex or same-sex couples are choosing to raise children outside of marriage through surrogates or adoption.
Okay. Did it just get stuck? What the hell? Hello? Oh my goodness. Heck. Okay.
Some sociologists study social facts, which
What is going on? Okay. Okay. Let's try this. We're having some kind of issue here.
some sociologists
No. Don't be scratching that. Mama. Seriously. Are they going to do the same over here?
Stop scratching that.
Thank you. Okay. Let's try this again.
Some sociologists study social facts, which are the laws, morals, values, religious beliefs, customs, fashions, rituals, and all of the cultural rules that govern social life that may contribute to these changes in the family. Do people in the United States view marriage and family differently than before? Do employment and economic conditions play a role? How has culture influenced the choices that individuals make in living arrangements? Other sociologists are studying the consequences of these new patterns, such as the ways children are affected by them or changing needs for education, housing, and health care. Chapter 1: An Introduction to Sociology 7. Figure 1.3: Modern U.S. families may be very different in structure from what was historically typical. Photo courtesy of Tony Alter, Wikimedia Commons. Another example of the way society influences individual decisions can be seen in people's opinions about and use of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP benefits. Some people believe those who receive SNAP benefits are lazy and unmotivated. Statistics from the United States Department of Agriculture show a complex picture. 8. Chapter 1: An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/11762/1.6. Table 1.1: SNAP use by state. In 2005, sociologists examined social conditions in different states to explain differences in the number of people receiving SNAP benefits. Table courtesy of U.S. Department of Agriculture. Percent eligible by reason for eligibility. Living in waiver area. Have not exceeded time limits. 1. In E&T program received exemption. Total percent eligible for the FSP. 2. Alabama 29 and 62 72 01 and 73 80ths. Alaska 162 72 00 100. California 6 and 62 72 00 64 74. District of Columbia 162 72 00 100. Florida 48 and 62 72 00 80 85. Mississippi 39 and 62 72 03 100. Wyoming 7 and 62 72 00 64 74. percentage of the population receiving SNAP benefits is much higher in certain states than in others. Does this mean, if the stereotype above were applied, that people in some states are lazier and less motivated than those in other states? Sociologists study the economies in each state, comparing unemployment rates, food, energy costs, and other factors to explain differences in social issues like this. To identify social trends, sociologists also study how people use SNAP benefits and how people react to their use. Research has found that for many people from all classes, there is a strong stigma attached to the use of SNAP benefits. This stigma can prevent people who qualify for this type of assistance from using SNAP benefits. According to Hansen and Gunderson, 2002, how strongly this stigma is felt is linked to the general economic climate. This illustrates how sociologists observe a pattern in society. Sociologists identify and study patterns related to all kinds of contemporary social issues. The "don't ask, don't tell" policy, the emergence of the Tea Party as a political faction, how Twitter has influenced everyday communication, these are all examples of topics that sociologists might explore. Studying part and whole, how sociologists view social structures. A key basis of the sociological perspective is the concept that the individual and society are inseparable. It is impossible to study one without the other. German sociologist Norbert Elias called the process of simultaneously analyzing the behavior of individuals and the society that shapes the behavior figuration. An application that makes this concept understandable is the practice of religion. While people experience their religions in a distinctly individual manner, religion exists in a larger social context. For instance, an individual's religious practice may be influenced by what government dictates, holidays, teachers, places of worship, rituals, and so on. These influences underscore the important relationship between individual practices of religion and social pressures that influence that religious experience. Elias, 1978. 1. The lower number is for individuals in households reporting food stamp receipt in the Survey of Income and Program Participation, SIPP. The higher number is for individuals in households not reporting food stamp receipt in the SIPP. 2. The lower number is for individuals in households reporting food stamp receipt in the Survey of Income and Program Participation, SIPP. The higher number is for individuals in households not reporting SIPP. Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology 9. Making Connections, Sociology in the Real World. Individual-society connections. When sociologist Nathan Kearn spoke to his friend Ashley, a pseudonym, about the move she and her partner had made from an urban center to a small Midwestern town, he was curious about how the social pressures on lesbian couple differed from one community to the other. Ashley said that in the city they had been accustomed to getting looks and hearing comments when she and her partner walked hand in hand. Otherwise, she felt that they were at least being tolerated. There had been little to no outright discrimination. Things changed when they moved to the small town for her partner's job. For the first time, Ashley found herself experiencing direct discrimination because of her sexual orientation. Some of it was particularly hurtful. Landlords would not rent to them. Ashley, who is a highly trained professional, had a great deal of difficulty finding a new job. When Nathan asked Ashley if she and her partner became discouraged or bitter about this new situation, Ashley said that rather than letting it get to them, they decided to do something about it. Ashley approached groups at a local college and several churches in the area. Together they decided to form the town's first gay-straight alliance. The alliance has worked successfully to educate their community about same-sex couples. It also worked to raise awareness about the kinds of discrimination that Ashley and her partner experienced in the town and how those could be eliminated. The alliance has become a strong advocacy group, and it is working to attain equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, or LGBT individuals. Kearns observed that this is an excellent example of how negative social forces can result in a positive response from individuals to bring about social change. Kearns, 2011. 1.2 The History of Sociology. A, B, C, D. Figure 1.4 People have been thinking like sociologists long before sociology became a separate academic discipline. Plato and Aristotle, Confucius, Calvin, and Voltaire all set the stage for modern sociology. Photos A, B, D, courtesy of Wikimedia Commons. Photo C, courtesy of Mumu82, Wikimedia Commons. Since ancient times, people have been fascinated by the relationship between individuals and the societies to which they belong. Many topics studied in modern sociology were also studied by ancient philosophers in their desire to describe an ideal society, including theories of social conflict, economics, social cohesion, and power. Hanoum 2003. In the 13th century, Ma Tuanlin, a Chinese historian, first recognized social dynamics as an underlying component of historical development in his seminal encyclopedia, General Study of Literary Remains. The next century saw the emergence of the historian some consider to be the world's first sociologist, Ibn Khaldun, 1332 to 1406, of Tunisia. He wrote about many topics of interest today, setting a foundation for both modern sociology and economics, including a theory of social conflict, a comparison of nomadic and sedentary life, a description of political economy, and a study connecting a tribe's social cohesion to its capacity for power. Hanoum 2003. In the 18th century, Age of Enlightenment philosophers developed general principles that could be used to explain social life. Thinkers such as John Locke, Voltaire, Immanuel Kant, and Thomas Hobbes responded to what they saw as 10. Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/col11762/1.6. Social ills by writing on topics that they hoped would lead to social reform. Mary Wollstonecraft, 1759 to 1797, wrote about women's conditions in society. Her works were long ignored by the male academic structure, but since the 1970s, Wollstonecraft has been widely considered the first feminist thinker of consequence. The early 19th century saw great changes with the Industrial Revolution, increased mobility, and new kinds of employment. It was also a time of great social and political upheaval with the rise of empires that exposed many people, for the first time, to societies and cultures other than their own. Millions of people moved into cities and many people turned away from their traditional religious beliefs. Creating a discipline. Auguste Comte, 1798 to 1857. Figure 1.5 Auguste Comte played an important role in the development of sociology as a recognized discipline. Photo courtesy of Wikimedia Commons. The term sociology was first coined in 1780 by the French essayist Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, 1748 to 1836, in an unpublished manuscript, For et al. 1999. In 1838, the term was reinvented by Auguste Comte, 1798 to 1857. Comte originally studied to be an engineer, but later became a pupil of social philosopher Claude-Henri de Rouvroy-Comte de Saint-Simon, 1760 to 1825. They both thought that social scientists could study society using the same scientific methods utilized in natural sciences. Comte also believed in the potential of social scientists to work toward the betterment of society. He held that once scholars identified the laws that govern society, sociologists could address problems such as poor education and poverty. Abercrombie et al. 2000. Comte named the scientific study of social patterns positivism. He described his philosophy in a series of books called The Course in Positive Philosophy, 1830 to 1842, and A General View of Positivism, 1848. He believed that using scientific methods to reveal the laws by which societies and individuals interact would usher in a new positivist age of history. While the field and its terminology have grown, sociologists still believe in the positive impact of their work. Harriet Martineau, 1802 to 1876, the first woman sociologist. Harriet Martineau was a writer who addressed a wide range of social science issues. She was an early observer of social practices, including economics, social class, religion, suicide, government, and women's rights. Her writing career began in 1931 with a series of stories titled Illustrations of Political Economy, in which she tried to educate ordinary people about the principles of economics. Johnson, 2003. Martineau was the first to translate Comte's writing from French to English and thereby introduce sociology to English-speaking scholars. Hill, 1991. She is also credited with the first systematic methodological international comparisons of social institutions in two of her most famous sociological works, Society in America, 1837, and Retrospect of Western Travel, 1838. Martineau found the workings of capitalism at odds with the professed moral principles of people in the United States. She pointed out the faults with the free enterprise system in which workers were exploited and impoverished while business owners became wealthy. She further noted that the belief in all being created equal was inconsistent with the lack of women's rights. Much like Mary Wollstonecraft, Martineau was often discounted in her own time by the male domination of academic sociology. Chapter 1, An Introduction to Sociology 11. Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883. Figure 1.6. Karl Marx was one of the founders of sociology. His ideas about social conflict are still relevant today. Photo courtesy of John Mild, Wikimedia Commons. Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, was a German philosopher and economist. In 1848, he and Friedrich Engels, 1820 to 1895, co-authored the Communist Manifesto. This book is one of the most influential political manuscripts in history. It also presents Marx's theory of society, which differed from what Comte proposed. Marx rejected Comte's positivism. He believed that societies grew and changed as a result of the struggles of different social classes over the means of production. At the time he was developing his theories, the Industrial Revolution and the rise of capitalism led to great disparities in wealth between the owners of the factories and workers. Capitalism, an economic system characterized by private or corporate ownership of goods and the means to produce them, grew in many nations. Marx predicted that inequalities of capitalism would become so extreme that workers would eventually revolt. This would lead to the collapse of capitalism, which would be replaced by communism. Communism is an economic system under which there is no private or corporate ownership, everything is owned communally and distributed as needed. Marx believed that communism was a more equitable system than capitalism. While his economic predictions may not have come true, Marx to change society still 829. In 1873, the English philosopher Herbert Spencer published The Study of Sociology, the first book with the term sociology in the title. Spencer rejected much of Comte's philosophy as well as Marx's theory of class struggle and his support of communism. Instead, he favored a form of government that allowed market forces to control capitalism. His work influenced many early sociologists, including Emile Durkheim, 1858 to 1917. George Simmel, 1858 to 1918. George Simmel was a German art critic who wrote widely on social and political issues as well. Simmel took an anti-positivist stance and addressed topics such as social conflict, the function of money, individual identity in city life, and the European fear of outsiders, Stapley 2010. Much of his work focused on the micro-level theories, and it analyzed the dynamics of two-person and three-person groups. His work also emphasized individual culture as the creative capacities of individuals. Simmel's contributions to sociology are not often included in academic histories of the discipline, perhaps overshadowed by his contemporaries Durkheim, Mead, and Weber, Ritzer and Goodman 2004. Emile Durkheim, 1858 to 1917. Durkheim helped establish sociology as a formal academic discipline by establishing the first European Department of Sociology at the University of Bordeaux in 1895 and by publishing his Rules of the Sociological Method in 1895. In another important work, Division of Labor in Society, 1893, Durkheim laid out his theory on how societies transformed from a primitive state into a capitalist, industrial society. According to Durkheim, people rise to their proper levels in society based on merit. Durkheim believed that sociologists could study objective social facts, Pogge 2000. He also believed that through such studies it would be possible to determine if a society was healthy or pathological. He saw healthy societies as stable, while pathological societies experience breakdown in social norms between individuals and society. 12 Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/11762/1.6. Making Connections, Social Policy and Debate. In 1897, Durkheim attempted to demonstrate the effectiveness of his rules of social research when he published a work titled Suicide. Durkheim examined suicide statistics in different police districts to research differences between Catholic and Protestant communities. He attributed the differences to socio-religious forces rather than to individual or psychological causes. George Herbert Mead, 1863 to 1931. George Herbert Mead was a philosopher and sociologist whose work focused on the ways in which the mind and the self were developed as a result of social processes, Cronk N.D. He argued that how an individual comes to view himself or herself is based to a very large extent on interactions with others. Mead called specific individuals that impacted a person's life significant others, and he also conceptualized generalized others as the organized and generalized attitude of a social group. Mead's work is closely associated with the symbolic interactionist approach and emphasizes the micro-level of analysis. Max Weber, 1864 to 1920. Prominent sociologist Max Weber established a sociology department in Germany at the Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich in 1919. Weber wrote on many topics related to sociology, including political change in Russia and social forces that affect factory workers. He is known best for his 1904 book, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. The theory that Weber sets forth in this book is still controversial. Some believe that Weber argued that the beliefs of many Protestants, especially Calvinists, led to the creation of capitalism. Others interpret it as simply claiming that the ideologies of capitalism and Protestantism are complementary. Weber believed that it was difficult, if not impossible, to use standard scientific methods to accurately predict the behavior of groups as people hope to do. They argued that the influence of culture on human behavior had to be taken into account. This even applied to the researchers themselves, who, they believed, should be aware of how their own cultural biases could influence their research. To deal with this problem, Weber and Dilthey introduced the concept of Verstehen, a German word that means to understand in a deep way. In seeking Verstehen, outside observers of a social world, an entire culture, or a small setting, attempt to understand it from an insider's point of view. In his book The Nature of Social Action, 1922, Weber described sociology as striving to interpret the meaning of social action and thereby give a causal explanation of the way in which action proceeds and the effects it produces. He and other like-minded sociologists proposed a philosophy of antipositivism whereby social researchers would strive for subjectivity as they work to represent social processes, cultural norms, and societal values. This approach led to some research methods whose aim was not to generalize or predict, traditional in science, but to systematically gain an in-depth understanding of social worlds.
Break for 1 minute. Sorry about that. That wrong direction. Okay. Okay, let's continue.
The different approaches to research based on positivism or anti-positivism are often considered the foundation for the differences found today between quantitative sociology and qualitative sociology. Quantitative sociology uses statistical methods with large numbers of participants. Researchers analyze data using statistical techniques to see if they can uncover patterns of human behavior. Qualitative sociology seeks to understand human behavior by learning about it through in-depth interviews, focus groups, and analysis of content sources like books, magazines, journals, and popular media. Should we raise the minimum wage? In a 2014 State of the Union address, President Obama called on Congress to raise the national minimum wage, and he signed an executive order putting this into effect for individuals working on new federal service contracts. Congress did not pass legislation to change the national minimum wage more broadly. The result has become a national controversy, with various economists taking different sides on the issue, and public protests being staged by several groups of minimum wage workers. Opponents of raising the minimum wage argue that some workers would get larger paychecks while others would lose their jobs, and companies would be less likely to hire new workers because of the increased cost of paying them. Bernstein 2014, cited in CNN.
Workers.
Proponents of raising the minimum wage contend that some job loss would be greatly offset by the positive effects on the economy of low-wage workers having more income. Hasser 2014, cited in CNN. Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology 13. Sociologists may consider the minimum wage issue from differing perspectives as well. How much of an impact would a minimum wage raise have for a single mother? Some might study the economic effects, such as her ability to pay bills and keep food on the table. Others might look at how reduced economic stress could improve family relationships. Some sociologists might research the impact on the status of small business owners. These could all be examples of public sociology, a branch of sociology that strives to bring sociological dialogue to public forums. The goals of public sociology are to increase understanding of the social factors that underlie social problems and assist in finding solutions. According to Michael 2005, the of public sociology is to engage multiple publics in multiple ways. 1.3 Theoretical perspectives. Figure 1.7 Sociologists develop social processes such as protest rallies. Photo courtesy of theonews.com/Wikimedia Commons. Sociologists study social events, interactions, and patterns, and they develop a theory in an attempt to explain why things work as they do. In sociology, a theory is a way to explain different aspects of social interactions and to create a testable proposition called a hypothesis about society. Allen 2006. For example, although suicide is generally considered an individual phenomenon, Emil Durkheim was interested in studying the social factors that affect it. He studied social ties within a group, or social solidarity, and hypothesized that differences in suicide rates might be explained by religion-based differences. Durkheim gathered a large amount of data about Europeans who had ended their lives, and he did indeed find differences based on religion. Protestants were more likely to commit suicide than Catholics in Durkheim's society, and his work supports the utility of theory in sociological research. Theories vary in scope depending on the scale of the issues that they are meant to explain. Macro-level theories relate to large-scale issues and large groups of people, while micro-level theories look at very specific relationships between individuals or small groups. Grand theories attempt to explain large-scale relationships and answer fundamental questions such as why societies form and why they change. Sociological theory is constantly evolving and should never be considered complete. Classic sociological theories are still considered important and current, but new sociological theories build upon the work of their predecessors and add to them. Calvin 2002. In sociology, a few theories provide broad perspectives that help explain many different aspects of social life, and these are called paradigms. Paradigms are philosophical and theoretical frameworks used within a discipline to formulate theories, generalizations, and the experiments performed in support of them. Three paradigms have come to dominate sociological thinking because they provide useful explanations: structural functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism. 14 Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStack book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/11762/1.6. Table 1.2 Sociological theories or perspectives. Different sociological perspectives enable sociologists to view social issues through a variety of useful lenses. Sociological paradigm level of analysis focus. Structural functionalism macro or mid, the way each part of society functions together to contribute to the whole. Conflict theory macro, the way inequalities contribute to social differences and perpetuate differences in power. Symbolic interactionism micro, one-to-one interactions and communications.
Structural functionalism, the way each part of society functions together to contribute to the whole. Conflict theory, the way inequalities contribute to social differences and perpetuate differences in power. Symbolic interactionism, one-to-one interactions and communications. Structural functionalism, each part of society. Conflict theory, there's a difference in power. That's how I can remember that. Structural functionalism, basically how they come together. Okay, which makes sense. Symbolic interaction. It literally has the interaction and communication word combined. Okay.
Communications. Functionalism. Functionalism, also called structural functional theory, sees society as a structure with interrelated parts designed to meet the biological and social needs of the individuals in that society. Functionalism grew out of the writings of English philosopher and biologist Heber Spencer, 1820 to 1903, who saw similarities between society and the human body. He argued that just as the various organs of the body work together to keep the body functioning, the various parts of society work together to keep society functioning. Spencer, 1898. The parts of society applied Spencer's theory to explain how societies change and survive over time. Durkheim believed that society is a complex system of interrelated and interdependent parts that work together to maintain stability, Durkheim 1893, and that society is held together by shared values, languages, and symbols. He believed that to study society, a sociologist must look beyond individuals to social facts such as laws, morals, values, religious beliefs, customs, fashion, and rituals, which all serve to govern social life. Alfred Radcliffe Brown, 1881 to 1955, defined the function of any activity as the part it played in social life as a whole, and therefore the contribution it makes to social stability and continuity. Radcliffe Brown, 1952. In a healthy society, all parts work together to maintain stability, called dynamic equilibrium by later sociologists such as Parsons, 1961. Durkheim believed that individuals may make up society, but in order to study society, sociologists have to look beyond individuals to social facts. Social facts are the laws, morals, values, religious beliefs, customs, fashions, rituals, and all of the cultural rules that govern social life. Durkheim, 1895. Each of these social facts serves one or more functions within a society. For example, one function of a society's laws may be to protect society from violence, while another is to punish criminal behavior, while another is to preserve public health. Another noted structural functionalist, Robert Merton, 1910 to 2003, pointed out that social processes often have many functions. Manifest functions are the consequences of a social process that is anticipated, while latent functions are the unsought consequences of a social process. A manifest function of college education, for example, includes gaining knowledge, preparing for a career, and finding a good job that utilizes that education. Latent functions of your college years include meeting new people, participating in extracurricular activities, or even finding a spouse or partner. Another latent function of education is creating a hierarchy of employment based on the level of education attained. Latent functions can be beneficial, neutral, or harmful. Social processes that have undesirable consequences for the operation of society are called dysfunctions. In education, examples of dysfunction include getting bad grades, truancy, dropping out, not graduating, and not finding suitable employment.
Okay. 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Employment. Criticism. Criticism of the structural functional theory is that it can't adequately explain social change. Also problematic is the somewhat circular nature of theory. Repetitive behavior patterns are assumed to have a function, yet we profess to know that they have a function only because they are repeated. Furthermore, dysfunctions may continue, even though they don't serve a function, which seemingly contradicts the basic premise of the theory. Many sociologists now believe that functionalism is no longer useful as a macro-level theory, but that it does serve a useful purpose in some mid-level analyses. Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology 15. Making Connections, Big Picture. A Global Culture. Figure 1.8 Some sociologists see the online world contributing to the creation of an emerging global culture. Are you a part of any global communities? Photo courtesy of Quasi-Reversible, Flickr. Sociologists around the world look closely for signs of what would be an unprecedented event, the emergence of global culture. In the past, empires such as those that existed in China, Europe, Africa, and Central and South America linked people from many different countries, but those people rarely became part of a common culture. They lived too far from each other, spoke different languages, practiced different religions, and traded few goods. Today, increases in communication, travel, and trade have made the world a much smaller place. More and more people are able to communicate with each other instantly, wherever they are located, by telephone, video, and text. They share movies, television shows, music, games, and information over the internet. Students can study with teachers and pupils from the other side of the globe. Governments find it harder to hide conditions inside their countries from the rest of the world. Sociologists research many different aspects of this potential global culture. Some explore the dynamics involved in the social interactions of global online communities, such as when members feel closer kinship to other group members than to people residing in their own country. Other sociologists study the impact this growing international culture has on smaller, less powerful local cultures. Yet other researchers explore how international markets and the outsourcing of labor impact social inequalities. Sociology can play a key role in people's abilities to understand the nature of this emerging global culture and how to respond to it. Conflict theory. Conflict theory looks at society as a competition for limited resources. This perspective is a macro-level approach most identified with the writings of German philosopher and sociologist Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, who saw society as being made up of individuals in different social classes who must compete for social, material, and political resources such as food and housing, employment, education, and leisure time. Social institutions like government, education, and religion reflect this competition in their inherent inequalities and help maintain the unequal social structure. Some individuals and organizations are able to obtain and keep more resources than others, and these winners use their power and influence to maintain social institutions. Several theorists suggested variations on this basic theme. Polish-Austrian sociologist Ludwig Gumplowicz, 1838 to 1909, expanded on Marx's ideas by arguing that war and conquest are the basis of civilizations. He believed that cultural and ethnic conflicts led to states being identified and defined by a dominant group that had power over other groups. Irving, 2007. German sociologist Max Weber agreed with Marx but also believed that, in addition to economic inequalities, inequalities of political power and social structure cause conflict. Weber noted that different groups were affected differently based on 16 Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/11762/1.6. Making Connections, Sociology in the Real World. Education, race, and gender, and that people's reactions to inequality were moderated by class differences and rates of social mobility, as well as by perceptions about the legitimacy of those in power. German sociologist George Simmel, 1858 to 1918, believed that conflict can help integrate and stabilize a society. He said that the intensity of the conflict varies depending on the emotional involvement of the parties, the degree of solidarity within the opposing groups, and the clarity and limited nature of the goals. Simmel also showed that groups work to create internal solidarity, centralize power, and reduce dissent. Resolving conflict can reduce tension and hostility and can pave the way for future agreements. In the 1930s and 1940s, German philosophers, known as the Frankfurt School, developed critical theory as an elaboration on Marxist principles. Critical theory is an expansion of conflict theory and is broader than just sociology, including other social sciences and philosophy. A critical theory attempts to address structural issues causing inequality. It must explain what's wrong in current social reality, identify the people who can make changes, and provide practical goals for social transformation. Horkheimer, 1982. More recently, inequality based on gender or race has been explained in a similar manner and has identified institutionalized power structures that help to maintain inequality between groups. Janet Saltzman-Schaffe, 1941 to 2006, presented a model of feminist theory that attempts to explain the forces that maintain gender inequality as well as a theory of how such a system can be changed. Turner, 2003. Similarly, critical race theory grew out of a critical analysis of race and racism from a legal point of view. Critical race theory looks at structural inequality based on white privilege and associated wealth, and prestige. Criticism. Farming and locavores, how sociological perspectives might view food consumption. The consumption of food is a commonplace, daily occurrence, yet it can also be associated with important moments in our lives. Eating can be an individual or a group action, and eating habits and customs are influenced by our cultures. In the context of society, our nation's food system is at the core of numerous social movements, political issues, and economic debates. Any of these factors might become a topic of sociological study. A structural functional approach to the topic of food consumption might be interested in the role of the agriculture industry within the nation's economy and how this has changed from the early days of manual labor farming to modern mechanized production. Another examination might study the different functions that occur in food production, from farming and harvesting to flashy packaging and mass consumerism. A conflict theorist might be interested in the power differential present in the regulation of food, by exploring where people's right to information intersects with corporations' drive for profit and how the government mediates those interests. Or a conflict theorist might be interested in the power and powerlessness experienced by local farmers versus large farming conglomerates, such as the documentary Food Incorporated depicts as resulting from Monsanto's patenting of seed technology. Another topic of study might be how nutrition varies between different social classes. A sociology in food consumption with symbolic interaction is more interested in such as the symbolic use of food in religious rituals, or the role it plays in the social interaction of a family dinner. This perspective might also study the interactions among group members who identify themselves based on their sharing a particular diet, such as vegetarians, people who don't eat meat, or locavores, people who strive to eat locally produced food. Just as structural functionalism was criticized for focusing too much on the stability of societies, conflict theory has been criticized because it tends to focus on conflict to the exclusion of recognizing stability. Many social structures are extremely stable or have gradually progressed over time rather than changing abruptly, as conflict theory would suggest. Symbolic interactionist theory. Symbolic interactionism is a micro-level theory that focuses on the relationships among individuals within a society. Communication, the exchange of meaning through language and symbols, is believed to be the way in which people. Chapter 1: An Introduction to Sociology 17. Make sense of their social worlds. Theorists Herman and Reynolds, 1994, note that this perspective sees people as being active in shaping the social world rather than simply being acted upon.
Okay, I will be right back.
(1863–1931), considered symbolic interactionism, though he never published his work on it. La Rosa and Reitz's 1993. Mead student Herbert Blumer coined the term symbolic interactionism and outlined these basic premises. We interact with things based on meaning ascribed to those things. The ascribed meaning of things comes from our interactions with others and society. The meanings of things are interpreted by a person when dealing with things in specific circumstances. Blumer, 1969. If you you had with family, friends, school, or church, maybe your family had a special reading time each week, getting your library card was treated as a special event, or bedtime stories were associated with warmth and comfort. Social scientists who apply symbolic interactionist thinking look for patterns of interaction between individuals. Their studies often involve observation of one-on-one interactions. For example, while a conflict theorist studying a political protest might focus on class difference, a symbolic interactionist would be more interested in how individuals in the protesting group interact, as well as the signs and symbols protesters use to communicate their message. The focus on the importance of symbols in building a society led sociologists like Irving Goffman, 1922 to 1982, to develop a technique called dramaturgical analysis. Goffman used theatre as an analogy for social interaction and recognized that people's interactions showed patterns of cultural scripts. Because it can be unclear what part a person may play in a given situation, he or she has to improvise his or her role as the situation unfolds. Goffman, 1958. Studies that use the symbolic interactionist perspective are more likely to use qualitative research methods, such as in-depth interviews or participant observation, because they seek to understand the symbolic worlds in which research subjects live. Constructivism is an extension of symbolic interaction theory, which proposes that reality is what humans cognitively construct it to be. We develop social constructs based on interactions with others, and those constructs that last over time are those that have meanings which are widely agreed upon or generally accepted by most within the society. This approach is often used to understand what's defined as deviant within a society. There is no absolute meaning of deviance, and different societies have constructed different meanings for deviance, as well as associating different behaviors with deviance. One situation that illustrates this is what you believe you're to do if you find a wallet in the street. In the United States, turning the wallet into local authorities would be considered the appropriate action, and to keep the wallet would be seen as deviant. In contrast, many Eastern societies would consider it much more appropriate to keep the wallet and search for the owner yourself. Turning it over to someone else, even the authorities, would be considered deviant behavior. Criticism. Research done from this perspective is often scrutinized because of the difficulty of remaining objective. Others criticize the extremely narrow focus on symbolic interaction. Proponents, of course, consider this one of its greatest strengths. Sociological theory today. These three approaches are still the main foundation of modern sociological theory, but some evolution has been seen. Structural functionalism was a dominant force after World War II and until the 1960s and 1970s. At that time, sociologists began to feel that structural functionalism did not sufficiently explain the rapid social changes happening in the United States at that time. Then gained prominence, as renewed emphasis on institutionalized social inequality. Critical theory, and the particular aspects of feminist theory and critical race theory, focused on creating social change through the application of sociological principles, and the field saw a renewed emphasis on helping ordinary people understand sociology principles, in the form of public sociology. Postmodern social theory attempts to look at society through an entirely new lens by rejecting previous macro-level attempts to explain acceptance in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Postmodern social theory is a micro-level approach that looks at small, local groups and individual reality. Its growth in popularity coincides with the constructivist aspects of symbolic interactionism.
I will be right back. Sorry. Ready?
Interactionism. 18, Chapter 1, An Introduction to Sociology. This open track is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/11622/1.6. 1.4 Why study sociology? Figure 1.9 The research of sociologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark helped the Supreme Court decide to end separate but equal racial segregation in schools in the United States. Photo courtesy of public domain. When Elizabeth Eckford tried to enter Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, in September 1957, she was met by an angry crowd. But she knew she had the law on her side. 3 years earlier in the landmark Brown versus the Board of Education case, the U.S. Supreme Court had overturned 21 state laws that allowed blacks and whites to be taught in separate school systems as long as the school systems were equal. One of the major factors influencing the decision was research conducted by the husband and wife team of sociologists, Kenneth and Mamie Clark. Their research showed that segregation was harmful to young black school children, and the court found that harm to be unconstitutional. Since it was first founded, many people interested in sociology have been driven by the scholarly desire to contribute knowledge to this field, while others have seen it as a way not only to study society but also to improve it. Besides desegregation, sociology has played a crucial role in many important social reforms, such as equal opportunity for women in the workplace, improved treatment for individuals with mental handicaps or learning disabilities, increased accessibility and accommodation for people with physical handicaps, the right of native populations to preserve their land and culture, and prison system reforms. The prominent sociologist Peter L. Berger, 1929, in his 1963 book Invitation to Sociology, A Humanistic Perspective, describes the sociologist as someone concerned with understanding society in a disciplined way. He asserts that sociologists have a natural interest in the monumental moments of people's lives, as well as a fascination with banal, everyday occurrences. Berger also describes the aha moment when a sociological theory becomes applicable and understood. Here is a deceptive simplicity and obviousness about some sociological investigations. One reads them, nods at the familiar scene, remarks that one has heard all this before and don't people have better things to do than to waste their time on criticisms, until one is suddenly brought up against an insight that radically questions everything one had previously assumed about this familiar scene. This is the point at which one begins to sense the excitement of sociology. Berger, 1963. Sociology can be exciting because it teaches people ways to recognize how they fit into the world and how others perceive them. Looking at themselves and society from a sociological perspective helps people see where they connect to different groups based on the many different ways they classify themselves and how society classifies them in turn. It raises awareness of how those classifications, such as economic and status levels, education, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, affect perceptions. Sociology teaches people not to accept easy explanations. It teaches a way to organize thinking so they can ask better questions and formulate better answers. It makes people more aware that there are many different kinds of people in the world who do not necessarily think the way they do. It increases their willingness and ability to try to see the world from other people's perspectives. This prepares them to live and work in an increasingly diverse and integrated world. Sociology in the workplace. Employers continue to see people with transferable skills. This means that they want to hire people whose knowledge and education can be applied in a variety of settings and whose skills will contribute to various tasks. Chapter 1, An Introduction to Sociology, 19. Making Connections, Sociology in the Real World. Studying sociology can provide people with this wide knowledge and a skill set that can contribute to many workplaces, including an understanding of social systems and large bureaucracies, the ability to devise and carry out research projects to assess whether a program or policy is working, the ability to collect, read, and analyze statistical information from polls or surveys, the ability to recognize important differences in people's social, cultural, and economic backgrounds. Skills in preparing reports and communicating complex ideas, and the capacity for critical thinking about social issues and problems that confront modern society. Department of Sociology, University of Alabama. Sociology prepares people for a wide variety of careers. Besides actually conducting social research or training others in the field, people who graduate from college with a degree in sociology are hired by government agencies and corporations in fields such as social services, counseling, example, family planning, career, substance abuse, community planning, health services, marketing, market research, and human resources. Even a small amount of training in sociology can be an asset in careers like sales, public relations, journalism, teaching, law, and criminal justice. Please friend me, students and social networking.
Hi, DJ. How are you tonight? For me, it's not too late to be eating. It's lunchtime for me.
The phenomenon known as Facebook was designed specifically for students. Whereas earlier generations wrote notes in each other's printed e-books at the end of the academic year, modern technology and the internet ushered in dynamic new ways for people to interact socially. Instead of having to meet up on campus, students can call, text, and Skype from their dorm rooms. Instead of a study group gathering weekly in the library, online forums and chat rooms help learners connect. The availability and immediacy of computer technology has forever changed the ways in which students engage with each other. Now, after several social networks have vied for primacy, a few have established their place in the market and some have attracted niche audience. While Facebook launched the social networking trend geared toward teens and young adults, now people of all ages are actively friending each other. LinkedIn distinguished itself by focusing on professional connections and served as a virtual world for workplace networking. Newer offshoots like Foursquare help people connect based on the real-world places they frequent, while Twitter has cornered the market on brevity.
I'm fighting.
The widespread ownership of smartphones adds to this social experience. The Pew Research Center, 2012, found that the majority of people in the United States with mobile phones now have smartphones with internet capability. Many people worldwide can now access Facebook, Twitter, and other social media from virtually anywhere, and there seems to be an increasing acceptance of smartphone use in many diverse and previously prohibited settings. The outcomes of smartphone use, as with other social media, are not yet clear. These newer modes of social interaction have also spawned harmful consequences, such as cyberbullying and what some call FAD, or Facebook addiction disorder. Researchers have also examined other potential negative impacts, such as whether Facebooking lowers a student's GPA, or whether there might be long-term effects of replacing face-to-face interaction with social media. All of these social networks demonstrate emerging ways that people interact, whether positive or negative. They illustrate how sociological topics are alive and changing today. Social media will most certainly be a developing topic in the study of sociology for decades to come. Chapter Review. Key Terms. 20 Chapter 1 An Introduction to Sociology. This OpenStax book is available for free at http://cnx.org/content/col11762/1.6. Antipositivism. Conflict theory. Culture, dramaturgical analysis. Dynamic equilibrium, dysfunctions, figuration. Function. Functionalism. Generalized others, grand theories. Hypothesis, latent functions, macro level, manifest functions, micro level theories, paradigms. Positivism, qualitative sociology, quantitative sociology, reification, significant others, social facts. Social institutions, social solidarity.
Qualitative, quantitative. Okay.
Solidarity, society. The view that social researchers should strive for subjectivity as they work to represent social processes, cultural norms, and societal values, a theory that looks at society as a competition for limited resources and extension of symbolic.
Ah! What did I just do? No! Shut up. That's not what I meant to do at all. Let's try that again. Okay. Okay, what is sociology? Sociology is the systematic study of society and social interactions. In order to carry out their studies, sociologists identify cultural patterns and social forces and determine how they affect individuals and groups. They also develop ways to apply their findings to the real world. The history of sociology. Sociology was developed as a way to study and try to understand the changes to society brought on by the industrial revolution in the 18th and 19th century. Some of the earliest sociologists thought that societies and individuals' role in society could be studied using the same scientific methodologies that were used in the natural sciences, while others believed that it was impossible to predict human behaviors scientifically, and still others debated the value of such predictions. Those perspectives continue to be represented within sociology today. Theoretical perspectives. Sociologists develop theories to explain social events, interactions, and patterns. A theory is proposed explanation of those social interactions. Theories have different scales. Macro level theories such as structural functionalism and conflict theory attempt to explain how societies operate as a whole. Micro level theories such as symbolic interactional Interactionism. 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 Focus on interactions between individuals. Why study sociology? Studying sociology is beneficial both for the individual and for society. By studying sociology, people learn how to think critically about social issues and problems that confront our society. The study of sociology enriches students' lives and prepares them for careers in an increasingly diverse world. Society benefits because people with sociological training are better prepared to make informed decisions about social issues and take effective actions to deal with them. Okay, here's a quiz section. Is there answer? Uh, yeah, that is. Okay. Hmm. I mean, let's do each of the following best describe society. Wright Mills once said that the sociologists need to develop a sociological method. Yeah, I think it's method. Sociologists define society as a group of people who reside in a defined area, share a culture, and who society is a group of people who resides in a defined area, share a culture, and who interact. It's gotta be interact. Seeing patterns means that a sociologist needs to be able to compare the behavior of individuals from different societies, identify similarities in how social groups respond to social pressure, compare individuals to seeing patterns means that sociologists need to be able to identify similarities in how social groups respond to social pressure, compare the behavior of individuals from different societies. Compare one society to another. Seeing patterns means that a sociologist needs to be able to compare one society to another. I'm going to say B. Right. Which of the following was a topic of study in early sociology? Astrology, Which founder of sociology believes society changed due to class? Oh, shit, you're kidding me, right? Founder. Which founder of sociology believed societies changed due to class struggle? Is it Emile or Carl? I'm going to go with difference between positivism and anti-positivism relates to whether individuals like or dislike their society, whether research methods use statistical data or person-to-person research, whether sociological studies can predict or improve society. I mean, I see the option for all of the above. You win, that's the answer. But if that wasn't the answer, let's say probably no. See, man, either that or C. Okay, which would quantitative social use to have large survey, literature search, in-depth interview. So this one is one I need to look on, and this one for sure. Large survey. I don't think that's right. I can do this. It's fine. We'll just go back through and study these. Weber believed humans could not be studied purely objectively because they were influenced by drugs, their culture, their genetic makeup, or the researcher. I think he believed it was the researcher. I would think it would be like the culture. Weber believed humans could not be studied purely objectively because they were influenced by, I think it's the researcher, but it really should have been their culture. No. No. That's the first answer I'm going with, though. All right, next. Which of these theories is most likely to look at the social world on a micro level? Structural functionalism. positivism. So hard. Symbolic interaction. Micro. Symbolic interactionism. Structural functionalism. No. Oh my God. It was macro or mid. Micro. So it wasn't structural unless it was micro. It was macro. Shit. Structural functionalism. I'm going for that one. I think that's what it is. 11. Who believed that the history of society was one of class struggle? Emil, Carl, Irving, or George? Carl? Class struggle. I want to say George Mead. I also want to say Carl. With D, or it was B. Alright. So screwed. So who coined the phrase symbolic interactionism? Herbert, Max, Lester, or W.I.? I'm going for Max Weber. A symbolic interactionist may compare social interactions to behavior, conflict, human organs, or theatrical rules. Symbolic interaction, social interaction, behaviors. Behaviors or conflicts. With behaviors, but it could be conflicts. I'm not doing so good. Which research technique would most likely be used by a symbolic interactionist? Surveys, participant observation, quantitative data analysis, or none of the above? None of the above is an option, and that usually means none of the above. So I'm just going to go with that because I think I'm wrong, but we're doing it anyways. Okay, Kenneth and Mamie Clark used sociological research to show that segregation was beneficial, harmful, illegal, of no importance. Oh no, no. Used sociological research to show that segregation was harmful. That's what they showed. I know the answer to that one. I know who they are. I paid attention. Okay. 16. Studying sociology helps people analyze data because they learn interview techniques, they learn to apply statistics, they learn to generate theories, all of the above. I'm going with all of the above because that sounds right. Berger describes sociologists as concerned with monumental moments in people's lives, common everyday life events, both A and B, or none of the above. I'm going with both A and B. Okay, let's see how bad I screwed this up. Okay, number 1 is C. Wright Mills meant when he said that to be a sociologist, one had to develop a sociological imagination. Oh, no. That's not. What do you think? Can you know? I thought, where the hell did they have the answers? I need to know the answers. I need to know how bad I did. Quiz, where do you find the answers? Oh, here we go. There's only giving some of the answers. This can't be it because it's only giving every other number. Okay. Where would they put the answers for this? They have you take a mock quiz and they don't give you the correct answers? I'm going to be so mad if I can't find the correct answers. Okay. If I go to the end of the book, Reflection quizzes provide opportunities to apply and test the information students learn throughout each section. Both multiple choice and short response questions feature a variety of question types and range of difficulty. But you don't give the answers to know if I've done it right. Okay, this makes me mad. Oh my god, my hair is doing great things. Okay. So if I don't. I'm very upset by this. Okay. Sociology is the study of human social relationship and institutions. Well, I'm frustrated now. Okay. Hmm. This is part of the answer key. I got a lot of them wrong. But okay, time for a break. I might not come back tonight. How I feel in like 30 minutes. If I will be back later Friday night to do more. But maybe I'll be back. Okay.